Hey guys, really excited to jump on with you today. We're going to do a little bit of coaching here, so let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so let's go ahead and start. So let's watch this rally here. Serve, return, drive. Good fifth. Good drive. There's lobs, man. Lobs are an enigma for like I've been really struggling to teach people how to coach it because they're just not really that much of a thing at a high level, because people just step back and just hit them, and then if you hit a good one, you got to run back there and get it. There's not a lot of technique to it necessarily. So unless you have any questions about that, we'll just go on to the next rally. Good, great shot. Let's go back on that. Let's go all the way back to serve. Okay, so biggest thing here, Jess, is when you return here, I know it caught you on the inside and it surprised you a little bit. And so you're like, oh man, I hope I get that ball in, but you pause just a little bit. Do you see how you pause?
Yeah,
You pause, kind of
right
watch it,
there.
and then
I'm
you
watching. I
go.
was my
Yeah.
biggest fan. Okay.
Yeah. So people do this all the time. Don't pause. Eventually, as we get you higher and higher, we're gonna talk about how you hit and you run. And you don't you're actually it's not hit and run, it's hit run. So you're actually running as you're hitting. So your forward momentum gives you a little bit of pop on the ball, but that's not the point. Your forward momentum gets you to the kitchen because we don't want to give them that gap. So they don't actually end up hitting you. You should always hit the returner. Always, always, always. There's a lot of reasons for that. But if they had hit you, notice the depth that they could have gotten to. So they had, the entire kitchen here that they could have dropped into, and then a
Yeah.
little bit further back. But on
Okay.
Ellen, they really only had this right here because she's right up on the line,
Makes sense.
right? So you need to close the gap and make your little zone that they can drop into, make it the same as Ellen's. So that's true for both of you guys there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We'll get a little bit into this. So if you guys can master the first 4 balls, you're going to win. You can get to a 5-0 level. I know a guy that isn't really necessarily the best at dinking or volleying. He can handle himself. He's okay, but he's below average. He's around a 5-4. He's below average at that, but he is a master of the first 4 balls because he's a former tennis player and he has an incredible ground stroke. So on his serve, the third that's coming is going to be a drive. It's very high quality. It dips and it is super consistent. Gets a lot of people with that. Now they'll get the ball back over, but then it's an easy pickup for him for a fifth. And then now he's at the kitchen line, and whoever gets to the kitchen line the most is going to win. On his he's even better at return and fourth because his return pins you really deep because it's hard drive and it's very consistent and it's in, and then you pop up something really weak, and then he pounds it. Hey guys, just a reminder, if you'd like to be a part of this weekly live Q&A stream, chat, get coached up, and even have a chance to be a guest and get your film broken down, then make sure you join us over at the lab. We have a free option that you can sign up for that includes access to this weekly Q&A stream with other perks as well. Just go to pickleball.co/weeklyqa. Now, back to the stream. I'm a big believer in the first 4 balls, okay? So let's actually look at your return real quick. Jess, your return was actually deep, so we'll take that. That's a good return. That gives you plenty of time to get up there, but most importantly, they're going to have to take at least 2 shots to get into the kitchen. If you hit it like in the middle or short, you can get there in 1. We want to make them hit 2. They're going to have to hit 2 really good shots, so they're way less likely to get up. Also, they're further from their target. The further they are from the net, the percentage of their chance of them hitting a good shot plummets, okay? So on this fourth, we get a great fourth. This is a great fourth for us because we want anything above our waist. Anything above our waist, we can really attack. However, with this fourth, we ended up hitting right to the middle. Okay, I want you guys to focus more on this fourth. I want you to hit more. I want you to hit deeper, number 1. So we're looking, for a ball somewhere, back on this tee. Okay. And then I want you to hit the space. I want you to hit where they're not. So you did a good job of doing that in the middle. You also had an option to go here, or you had an option to go sideline over here. Okay. So you actually targeted space really well, but we got to hit deeper. okay? And really, it's not necessarily about deep. We want to hit the feet, okay? Unfortunately, they're out of bounds here. So you can't actually hit their feet. You'd be out of bounds. You want to hit as deep as you possibly can at that point. Let's say that they move up and these circles represent someone's feet, right? We want to hit the feet, but we want to hit the feet line, right? We don't want to hit right at their feet. That's too easy for them. So we want to hit at this feet line. Okay. So that means hitting, you know, here, hitting here, here, here. Don't hit the middle. This is their feet. So you're hitting right into the body. Here, here, or here. Right. So this ball that you hit, it actually had good pace on it. So that was really good. But we need to get it a little deeper. Does that make sense?
Yep,
All
totally.
right.
I think my
All right.
intention is to hit it deep. Came to
Yeah.
higher than I expected, so I was a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you could also ask me why I didn't hit a bunch of mine deep today when I played. It's because it's hard. Like, you just miss it. Like, it's just part of it. But we talked about this a lot in the lab. There's really there's two things that happen when you hit a ball. So when you're about to hit this ball right here, there's two things that have to happen. One, you have to make a decision. Okay. Where am I going to hit this ball? Am I going to hit it to the middle? Am I going to hit it to the side? How deep am I going to hit it? How quickly or how hard am I going to hit it? Right. There's a decision on the type of ball you have to hit or that you want to hit. Then two, you got to be able to execute it. Okay. When we're trying to get better at things, decisions always are the first thing. You have to make the right decision. Okay. So if you make the right decision on this ball and you told me, I was actually trying to hit this ball deep, this one right here. I was trying to hit this ball deep, but I just hit it short. We're 1 for 2. You made the right decision. And that's huge because decisions are wrong constantly. Okay. So the decision is the win. Then we'll worry about the execution. We'll do drilling to get the execution down and all that stuff. So if that was your intention, that's a win for us. All right. So let's pick it up. Good. Good. Great shot. Fantastic. Serve, return. Not bad. Really good pace on the return. And it's in the middle. But I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, let's see what happens. Oof, really good ball there. And you're able to get it back. Typically, what's going to happen at higher levels when they hit this ball is you're going to have the lady in the black hat here. She's going to
Pounce me.
crash.
Mhm.
What's that?
Yeah, and then this is something that we've experienced in other games where someone drives it on us and we pop it up and then the next one we
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
So it's the getting the right technique for this ball. So whether, you've got some good videos that we could reference on it or um, something for like working on getting that ball down so that I'm not popping it up.
Yeah, what's your grip? Do you know if it's continental, eastern?
For the most part, it's Continental, although I've been trying to futz with it to do Eastern to get more top spin with my
Yeah.
forehand.
Yeah, that's great. So here, for some reason, your paddle is up. The paddle face is up, and that's why it heads up. So I don't know. I would have guessed right there. You've got your arm extended. Your wrist is up here probably when your wrist needs to be down. Okay.
Okay.
So just in general, when you're volleying, this is a volley for you. Let's see. The kind of that ball's dipping hard. Okay, so I'm
But
I'm gonna
yeah, she had
guess.
some good top spin on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess in your head you were thinking get this ball back over the net and you left it high. If that's true, I would just at that point it's just practice for you on having
Okay.
people even volleying, just leaving that ball 2 to 3 inches over the net versus that was probably about a foot,
Yeah.
right? So that's really it. And I don't think you did it on accident. I think it was on purpose to get the ball over the net. Do you think that's what happened?
I mean, I'm trying to get the ball back. My
Right.
ideal is to not pop it up like that because to your point, Black Hat should have crashed and killed me.
Right. Yeah, so that's just repetition. Just
Okay.
trusting yourself that you can get the ball over 2 to 3 inches versus I better get some clearance here because the ball's dropping on me, right? So that's just practice. That's all
I
that
have
is.
I have a question on that one.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple questions. One is, just pedal position for that. It was kind of sideways versus dropping down. Is that okay for this shot? Number two question is, how hard do you want to grip? Because for me, in this scenario, I suspect I had two problems popping it up, or three. One is good, one is I intend to get it back deeper. But the two bad thing is, one is I'm gripping my pedal too hard. Number two is maybe my pedal position is not right. My wrist, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So did when you said paddle different, did you mean she needs to be hitting up like this?
Right, right.
Like this right here?
Yeah, that's what I was.
That one, no, because you're the way you hit with this, you're actually hitting up, right? And so you'll see the pros, they won't hit up, but they actually take their wrist. I'm going to put it down like this. They take their wrist and they get it way back here, right? And then end up hitting down. But because this ball is dipping, if you try and hit down on this ball, it's just going to go in the
It's in
net.
the
You're
net.
actually going to have to hit from this position up. And when you do that, that ball is going to sail. It's when you're hitting up, the ball's going to go up, right? So she had the right positioning instead of, so the hit actually happened like this. It went up like this, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so we probably want to get more of a flat shot like this. And if you
Okay.
can, maybe even an upward little brush with your backhand. But
With the
that,
backhand.
yeah, but you're looking at more of a wouldn't be it's probably more of a roll, more of just like an exaggerated completion of a shot, and that's a really difficult shot. That's a really difficult shot. I would just say honestly at this point, I just would have closed the paddle face more instead of having it up. I just closed it 2 to 3 inches, and you'd have been good. On grip pressure, let me make sure I'm answering your question and tell me if I didn't answer it. On grip pressure, you should be a 3 out of 10. So if one is really, really soft, like I could probably pull the paddle out of your hand. 10 is you've got like an absolute death grip on it. You want a 3 out of 10 on all shots. The only shot you don't want to do that with is a volley. A volley can be about a 6 out of 10. Um, in all transparency, I haven't played with this a lot, but this has been the advice of like a ton of different pickleball players and like stuff that, I've just collected over the years. So that's what I've been told. That's what I do. And I think that's what makes the most sense. For the longest time, I had a death grip on the paddle, and it was a real issue. In fact, I had a tennis guy I play pickleball with. He's like, the number one thing I would tell you. He did this unprompted. He's like, dude, you gotta loosen. He could tell. He could tell I was gripping the crap out of that thing. The reason I was gripping it is I didn't trust myself to be able to control it without gripping it very hard. But you're actually the harder we grip, our paddle's a lot slower. The tighter your muscles are, the slower you are. The looser your muscles are, the faster you are. And so you over time, you'll get used to being able to control it with your wrist. And I would just go ahead and start trying now. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. Just to again clarify, even for counters, you want to have 3 out of 10 grip.
No, volleys. So counters
Okay,
would.
that's considered volley. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so anything so you got the 4 phases, right? Serve, return, then you go into transition. If everyone makes it to the kitchen, then now you're dinking. And volleying starts on the first speed up. So whether it's an out of air speed up, whether it's off the bounce, you're now volleying. I would even consider the speed up a volley. It's not a dink. It's a volley. So when you're volleying, you're at a 6 out of 10. Now, I am toying with, and I can't, the reason I'm so transparent about this is I don't want to tell you something that I haven't fully worked out yet. I am toying with before you hit the ball, you're at a 3. So you're as fast as you possibly can. But then as you're hitting the ball, you're going to that 6. So if like I show you with my hand, this would be a 3, this would be a 6. Let's say someone speeds up on me and I'm here. I'm going to have my 3, move my hand to the ball, counter 6, get my paddle back in ready position, move it to the next ball. Let's say it's on my forehand, counter 6, release to 3. Okay. And I don't mean like let go of the paddle. I'm just visually, I'm trying to show you like what that would look like. Because a lot of people, when they're like, I need to loosen my grip, I'll try and do this on camera really well. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this. No, we're not going to open our hand at all. We're just going to go from this to this, like just relax the hand. That's all we're doing. You still have full contact with the paddle. It's just you're not gripping so tight. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Great. Any other questions on that? Fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Let's actually go through all these. So okay, saw the return already. Good. All right, let's go to this ball. Okay. I really like this decision. Remember, we said decision and execution. This is the decision. The decision is you were trying to put it as deep as possible, as hard as possible. Love that. Great. Let's actually go back real quick and look at your technique on that. Good. Not too much to go over on that. So here, Alan, I'm gonna guess you're trying to drop volley. You're trying to catch them with a double bouncer before they can get to the ball, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you're gonna have to really practice that if you want to do it, because now it depends. Like if they're really far back, like Black Hat's super far back, you can catch her, and I think you did catch her. But in an ideal situation, you're cutting that ball and putting a ton of backspin on it so that it just drops and it doesn't get back up. You're also needing to land that ball probably about here in the kitchen. That means you do not have a lot of clearance over this net to make that happen. So it's actually a really difficult shot. And so you're with the cut or with the drop volley rather, you're trying to make sure that it double bounces. They don't get a paddle on it. Because if they do get a paddle on it, a lot of times they can just take their paddle, just kind of brush under, and now they're right at, and they landed in the kitchen, and now they're all the way up to the kitchen, right? So in this scenario, it actually worked out, but you didn't get the double bounce, right? And actually that ball ended up bouncing all the way here. So it was a pretty far bounce. She just didn't pick it up, right? So that's a really high level shot you're trying to hit there. Now, if you're telling me you hit that shot frequently and you're soberly telling me that, right? Like you actually like you think about it every time you make a mistake, because a lot of people, they hit it once and they're like, dude, I'm so good at this shot. And they forget the 9 other times that it doesn't work for them. Right. And then some people have the other problem. They focus on the one time it doesn't work and then forget the other 9 times it did work. So it works both ways. But if you're soberly telling me you hit this shot a lot, keep doing it. But that would be my advice, is you need to practice that, or you just need to work on keeping them back instead of that. Does that make sense?
No, totally makes sense. So for this one, to answer your question, number one, most of the time my intention would have been to do the cut. But this particular shot, if I remember correctly, I changed my mind at the very last 0.1
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
And that's also, to answer you the other question, my intention is to practice more, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that gets into, well, everyone makes a half decision, right? Like I'm gonna hit it deep. Oh, I'm gonna cut, and then like you're stuck between. Happens all the time. Just is what it is. That'll go away over time, right? As you make more and more, you get in a habit of making more and more decisions, or not a habit. You get practice reps making more and more decisions, right? So that's not a big deal. That's not important. The second part about practice. So we talk about this in the lab. Where do you spend your practice time? Right? Or where not practice time, where do you spend your pickleball time? Like if you're someone trying to go pro, the split between, practice and games is much different than someone who's, I just want to go have fun. Well, you should play the entire time. You should never drill, right? If you just want to have fun. But if you're trying to win and improve and get better, where does that practice time? And then when you use that practice time, that's what we talk about in peak, right? When you use that practice time, what are you doing in that practice time? Would I encourage you as your coach to work on drop volleys in your practice time? No, because you're just not going to hit a lot of them, right? We need to work on the things you're going to hit the most, probably the first 4 balls. So yeah, does that make sense? Great. All right. So she ends up hitting this in the net, right? Yep, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go here. Serve, good. Return, good. Really good partner work here. You step to the side. Is this because you guys know each other well and your games well, or Ellen, did you say something, or did Jessica, did you say something?
I probably caught
Good,
my ball in this
good,
scenario.
good, very good. Great drop. Just go back. Good. Do you normally topspin drop or do you slice drop?
Top more.
Okay.
Sometimes I do
Yeah.
slices, but I don't
I think
practice
it depends which side it goes to for her. She'll slice her backhand, she'll topspin her forehand.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably have to slice your backhand, right? You're not going to be able to topspin it unless you use a two-hander and a two-handed backhand drop. If I saw you at this level hit a two-handed backhand drop with topspin, I would say you're at the wrong level. That's a really tough shot. So backhand, that makes sense. I would encourage you to keep hitting topspin on your forehand if you can. The game's headed more that way. It's way more aggressive. It's also more defensive in a way because it makes the opposite team, they really have to lay that ball in the kitchen, because if they don't lay the ball in the kitchen and they get aggressive with it, your partner's kind of there to take care of it. So just here's what I would recommend you doing. On this shot here, if you know she's about to take that, I want you not to do it, but in your mind, get ready to go forward. You look like you're about to do it. I want you to watch the trajectory of her ball. If that's her trajectory, I want you to crash, because what's going to happen is they're going to pop I don't even know what's about to happen. I forgot, but that's your ball. And if you're at the kitchen for that ball, that's a point, right?
Yeah.
However, you have to really watch her trajectory, because if she leaves it high and you crash, you're done.
Dead.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to be a great pattern for you guys. That's going to be a great, like in basketball, it's run one, right? You see Ellen taking a forehand, and she should get a lot of those because it's in the middle, right? If you see her take that and she's able to get like a good height on it, it can either go in the net or probably be a low ball. If it goes in the net and you crash, who cares, right? But if it's over the net and it lands in, you get a really good opportunity. Does that make sense? So that'd be a good option for you guys.
We were also talking about the idea of communicating go. So whoever's hitting the drop, if they know that it's a green light kind of ball, that they say go, so the other person knows, like, move forward.
The tough part about that is that I would tell you go every time, because I think that my ball is going to be good every time, unless I'm backpedaling or the ball's out of my strike zone. Right, your strike zone being in front of you and on the outside. Right, so I would think it's always good. By the time I realize it's a bad ball, you can realize it's a bad ball. We both need to watch the trajectory. So what I would do is I would hit it, and then I would say it's good after it's about a quarter of the way there, maybe half the way there. You can figure that out at the same time I can by watching the trajectory. So I would just watch that. I would start to build that skill, because you guys might not play together forever. One of you might be out of town and you play with someone else in a tournament or something like that. You don't want to rely on that person. Playing mixed. Don't rely on the dude. Like, you figure out if it's good, right? Build that skill.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question. Boom. Good. Okay. On these putaways here, Ellen, you kind of raise up your left foot here. I'm okay with that, because you're gonna have to jump off your right. I mean, that's pretty much what you would do if you were jumping off of your right anyway. Yeah. It's okay. Well, we're not gonna focus on putaways, but that was a great putaway.
Yeah, I think I was trying to counter so I don't fall into the kitchen.
That's fair. Serve. Little high. Good. Just keep the ball alive at this point. Good hustle. Good. Keep it alive. Get it down. Way to get it down. Get this one down. Good. Really good point. Let's go back and watch that entire thing. Okay. So I really like top spin drop. Really like it. You just need probably a foot less to 2 feet less height on that. Right? We don't want your drop to be so flat that it doesn't have the geometry, like coming from basketball, right? You shoot with a lot of arc, right? So you give yourself as much geometry as you can. We would do that in pickleball, except the ball bounces really high and then they just kill it, right? So you can't go too high, but you can't go so low that you have bad geometry. So I'd like to see this ball probably somewhere more when it's crossing the net, about right here. Okay, so about half the height. I'd say about 12 to 18 inches over the net, and more 12 than 18 if you can. Okay, so that's really it on that. Yeah, there was good top spin on it. Ellen, you can do the same thing when you see her hitting that top spin drop. Like I forgot about that part. So I was going to go into like kind of backspin versus top spin, or like backspin slice, same thing. When you can get under the ball and it's really controlled, and like you're kind of in control of the ball, like it's going to easily jump into your strike zone. It's not going too fast. It's a manageable ball. Top spin. When you get a ball that's kind of difficult to handle, that might be when I slice, right? Because you can kind of get up and under the ball a little bit with slice because you're coming from top down, instead of trying to get under and going down up. And so a lot of times where this is going to happen is when you drive your third shot and they hit you something back a lot lower. That's when you'll see a lot of the pros actually still backspin or slice drop is on their fifth. Okay, that's a little advanced. It's more of a red, but I would, whenever you can control the ball, I would hit a top spin drop. Sound good? Okay. So here, she actually gets a really good fourth on this. She needs it a little deeper, right? But because it's able to bounce right up to you. If she hits that ball at your feet, it's not bouncing up and you got to dig and you probably miss it, or it goes high, right? So we'll actually coach you guys off of them as well. So really good job just getting this ball back. You're under a lot of pressure. We're not trying to hit a perfect ball necessarily. We're trying to get the ball back. So you got the ball back. That's good. And then it's going to come off the net. Great hustle here to pick that ball up. Really good. Just to be clear on all of these, our goal is the kitchen. So this ball, we want to land it in the kitchen. Difficult ball to land in the kitchen. I would be okay. So there's the principle of escalation and de-escalation, okay? So you've got your paddle here at 12, right? This would be, man, I might have to do this right. 12, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like the handle on a clock, right? So what you want to do is when you get a hard ball like this, let's see how she actually hit this ball. So she got probably like what, a 9 o'clock on that, right? So let's call it a 10. You want to hit a ball back that she can only hit. This was 10, so it's a hard shot. You want to get a ball back that she can only hit a 9 on, right? And then after this ball, she's not going to be able to hit as hard as this ball. So when you get her to hit a 9, that ball's going to be a little easier to handle. Then you want to give her one that she has to hit an 8 on, right? Then you get another ball back that's a lot softer. Then you try to get to 7 and 6. Eventually, one of that 8, 7, or 6 will be in the kitchen and you can move up. So you're really just trying to de-escalate. If you're on the other side of it and you get a 9 o'clock, you want to hit that ball so well that it either ends the point or they pop it up and you can hit a 10. Then you hit the 10 in a manner that you can get another pop up for 11, and the 12 should finish it. You can finish in 9, 10, 11, or 12, but what you don't want to happen is you hit a ball at 9 that they can de-escalate to 8, right? Because as soon as you start hitting at 8, 7, 6, you're hitting up on the ball, and you got to be either soft or really, really careful because you can pop that ball up. So here, what we want to see happen is we want her to hit this at an 8. Let's see what she does. Ah, that's an 8. That's an 8. I forgot what happened here. So it's not going to look like I'm a genius or anything.
Tips the net, I think.
Does it? Oh, it does tip the net. So she had to hit that. She stayed aggressive with this. And so it almost cost her. She almost hit it in the net. So that's what we want. We de-escalated her from a 10 to a 9. Okay. So or an 8-ish. All right. So you pick this up. Again, just to be clear, we want to drop this in the kitchen. But you're going to get a ball. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do that, right? When you're just getting a ball back. Okay. This gives them about an 11. So let's de-escalate this 11. Let's give them a ball back that's a lot lower. We're still at an 11, right? So there we go. This ball, that paddle's at a 6. That's a good job. We just got to keep getting the ball. I mean, it's easier just to say get the ball down, but that's what needs to happen. We need to de-escalate. So this is the ball we're looking for. So we want to get that ball down, okay? Really good. Now they got the ball down on us at a 6, right? So we really need to drop this ball in the kitchen. We end up putting it high. And then we get another ball and it's close. Okay. But we got to get balls lower and lower. So we're just trying to de-escalate that as much as possible, then get to the kitchen, make them hit us a ball that we can escalate on. Does that make sense?
Totally. Can you comment a little bit if you rewind the 6? My intention, I believe, was to drop, but it ended up popping up. So I do
Yeah.
run into this scenario here and there. Can you see where I did it wrong?
You talking about this shot right here?
Correct.
I would tell you to attack that ball. So this is the principle of high ball, low ball. And so we talk about this in the lab too. Any ball that's high, meaning at your waist or higher, you have to attack. You have to get used to attacking those balls because those balls are above the net. Any ball above the net must be attacked. If you don't know how to attack it, we can work on that. We can figure that out together, but you have to make the correct decision on that. Okay, so I don't want you to drop this ball. That'd be the wrong decision. I want you, or reset this ball. I want you to attack this ball. That would be the correct decision. Okay, if that ball's at your waist or lower, it's below the net. So we do need to drop that ball because if you try and speed that ball up, it's either headed into the net or if you manage to get it over the net, it's going to give them a high ball. They're going to start up on you, right? Or you're going to hit the ball out of bounds. So it's always you want to give low balls, but you want to get back high balls, right? And that's really, you see that a lot in or you see it really well in dinking. Perfect example. When you hit a ball, you dink it so that it stays below the net, right? But as soon as it gets above the net, you get attacked, right? That you just that's from serve to the end of the point. That's all you're doing, and that's why the pros are the pros, is because they just they consistently hit low ball after low ball after low ball and do not give high balls as frequently as other people. Okay, so like if you can boil pickleball down into like one thing, it's just hit low balls. If you hit low balls, you're gonna win. That's just the way it is. Okay. So on this particular shot, I would have told you to attack. So what ended up happening is when you attacked, your paddle was up, right? It's just paddle face is all it is, which is 99% of execution is just getting the right paddle face. So your paddle face is up. So you want to drop your wrist in a way that you can get this ball here and get it down, or step to the side with your backhand and then get the paddle face here and hit down. So she ended up really just getting you in your chicken wing. Are you familiar with the chicken wing?
Yes.
Okay. So she ended up getting you in the chicken wing. Sometimes, like I said, shoulder ball, the 1% of balls that we talked about earlier, it's just a good shot, is what it is. So she got you in your chicken wing. A good player to watch for this is Gabe Tardio. Are you familiar with Gabe?
Uh-huh.
He hits this shot really well. He practices it a lot, but he's able to get it up. So I call it the spider. So you've got the scorpion, right? This is the spider. It's hanging down, right? Hello. So I call it the spider, and he's really good at not leaving his paddle face here, but getting his paddle face here. So you just got to get used to that. You probably have enough time here to possibly slide if you want, but slide, you have to be really careful with that because it's a higher level move, but higher level players can really pick it apart too. So I'd probably just teach you, or I'd probably get you used to just hitting down more. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you can hit down, you can hit, left or right, which would be, forehand, backhand. Avoid hitting volleys up. I don't think you guys have this problem, but a lot of people, they volley, like when they get hit in their chicken wing, they volley like this. They get here and they go like that. You're always going to pop the ball up. There's no scenario because of the way your wrist hinges. There's no scenario where you're getting that ball down. That was really close. Really close. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Really good job. Serve. Really good top spin. Let's actually go back. This is probably a yellow right now, but on this top spin here, this drive that you hit, we want to just hit and sit. Okay. So when we hit, we want to split step immediately. Are you guys familiar with split steps?
Yes.
So hit and split, don't hit and crash. On a drive, you should not never. There's one caveat, but it's like a 6-0. It's a 5-5, 6-0 move. You should never drive and run. You should always drive and stop because by the time you split step and stop, that ball is coming back. And one of the biggest principles in pickleball is be set when your opponent is hitting the ball. So the only one that can really be moving here and get close to the net is Jessica, but I wouldn't recommend that either. Crashing is kind of, you're close to being able to crash, but you can crash on a drop. I'd rather you not crash on a drive because you don't know if your partner is consistent enough yet to be able to hit consistent drives, because that drive has to be 6 inches over the net. Otherwise, it's coming back pretty hard. So I wouldn't encourage that. But when you drive here, I would just drive and just stop and then just get ready. Okay, so let's look and see what that looked like. So you drive, take a couple steps in, and then get set. You see that? So if that ball comes to you, so the ball right here, you're just now getting set. Jessica, you're still moving too, so I would make sure I get set. We need to be set as she's hitting the ball. She's hitting the ball right here. So let's watch both of you and let's see the extra steps you guys are taking. You're still taking steps until about right there. Okay, so we got to get set a little earlier. This is a difficult skill. It's a lot about timing and stuff like that, but you definitely do need to be set by that point. Does that make sense? Good try.
All right.
Let's go through it again. So that was off the drive. I actually really like this reset here. So the closer you can take the ball off the ground on a reset, the better off you're going to be. You don't want to lunge for a ball necessarily, but you don't want to take it high off the bounce either necessarily, because pickleballs bounce really weird sometimes. And the closer the ball is to the ground when you reset, the more consistently you're going to be able to hit the middle of the paddle, regardless of how the ball jumps. So I actually really like that reset. That's good. We need to be set here. Now, so when she's digging this ball out, I wouldn't be so close to the action there. So you got your drive, we've got the reset. She's backing up. So likely Jessica's not going to hit as good of a reset as she normally would if she wasn't having to back up. Okay, so this ball would make me a little nervous and I would be backing up a little bit till I saw how good it was, and then I might move up. Luckily, Jessica gets a really freaking good ball. I mean, that's a 6 o'clock ball. Like, she's hitting up on this ball, right? So just be careful on moving up. We have to hit, that's such a good ball. That's like a 5 o'clock ball. That's so good. Yeah, honestly, I would have just stayed with it. Jessica, like, you were hitting really good shots here. So let's actually back this up. So here, your momentum, let's focus on you for a second, Jessica. Your momentum's taking you backwards, which is totally normal. So you can't move forward. Here, you're just going to get better and better at recognizing when your drops are good. There, you could have taken a step. So you would have ended up, more.
Where more where Ellen is?
Probably a little before her, or after her, sorry. So here, and then let's say that her line's here, right? You split the difference between you guys. That's probably where you would be, right? So then let's go forward. This one right here, you would have been closer and you would have been able to take that one up, and you might have been able to move to the kitchen on that one. So you were resetting really well. I wouldn't give up on it. They were, remember your opponents, when they have to hit multiple really good, it goes for you too, but when they have to hit multiple really good balls in a row, there's a lot of pressure on them. There's less pressure on you because you're not the one defending the kitchen. We have it in our heads that the people defending the kitchen, like, they really have to take, like, every single shot like every edge they can to get the ball where it needs to be. You've hit 2 really good balls to them, they're about to mess up, I would imagine, and hit you a ball just a little too high. You're not under as much pressure because you're under more pressure because they're putting more pressure on you, but like, resets are hard. Like, you're kind of like, I'm going to do my best I can here, right? So I just would have kept going.
Okay.
Those are really good resets.
I was thinking, like, I have them leaning in the kitchen. And then I was like, I'm going to try and go over them to see.
Yeah.
With the middle ball.
Yeah, the tough part there is you're in the transition. You're in the middle of transition zone. That angle's a lot more difficult, in my opinion, to actually hit. You're further away from your target. Your target's the baseline, so you're less likely to hit it. So I'd be careful with those. I'm not saying never hit them, but I would be sober about it. I'd hit 10 and see how well you did. And, let's say you landed 3 out of 10, be like, are my resets better than 3 out of 10? Do I make 4 or 5 out of 10 resets? you know? Then you also have to factor in the fact that if you land 3 out of 10 lobs, now they're at a massive disadvantage. If you land 4 out of 10 resets, they're at the kitchen. It's not, you have to kind of consider all the angles, but just be sober about it. Like, did
Okay.
you end up in a better place because you lobbed, or a worse place? All right, so let's see here. Serve, return. So, Ellen, on these returns, do you normally get these deep?
On this,
Those slice returns?
do I get it deep?
Yeah, do you normally hit them deep? Were you trying to hit
Yeah.
short here?
I don't remember what I was thinking at that
Yeah,
point.
no worries. No
Most of
worries.
the time I try to hit deep. Sometimes if I see them back, what I notice at this level, especially female or slightly older female, not the
Uh-huh.
super younger ones,
Uh-huh.
when I make them move, they tend to make more mistakes, especially when I hit the slice. They hit the tape 80% of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Because I was going to tell you, your slice is going to give them more topspin. So they're going to use that slice to get more topspin. So that's why that ball dipped so hard, and that's why you popped it up. But you're right. At a certain level, I end up forgetting sometimes. At a certain level, people have a really hard time with the slice. Even at our level, there's a lot of players who really struggle against it. Just make sure you get it deep. Make sure you don't give them anything this short. Yeah. Yeah, there's not much you could have done there except, I mean, because that ball's got so much topspin from your slice, and she hits topspin, if you notice there, that ball's so low, you're going to have to try and reset that into the kitchen, but I understand why you didn't. That was a really hard ball. I'm sure you were trying to.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Good. Oh, yeah, that's in. All right, let's go watch this back. Really good. Good. Okay, so Alan, that's the ball earlier we talked about. I think it was Jess hit the ball a little high off this, right? Like I told you to make sure you get your paddle angle. This is probably that ball that you're looking for. Notice it
Okay.
wasn't as high above the tape. And then Ellen hits with a little bit of flick there, a little bit of topspin. So notice how she takes her paddle low, brings it high. That way the ball can stay low and she can get a little bit more speed on it as well. So that's what that ball would look like, just for reference. So that's a good one. Ellen, there's not much to say about that. You hit the space, you hit the middle, which is really good, just a little deeper at their feet line.
Yeah.
So here, love this. Okay, so they actually got it. So you went backhand and then you were stuck backhand and then you were able to punch it. I actually don't know how you did that. That was a really good shot. So I think you're in Continental here. It looks like you punch it, but I guess you don't. I guess yeah, it looks like you've got it and you're just like
No, I
this,
punched it.
but you got your backhand, right? Let me watch this again.
Yeah, it's my backhand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of like a swat, like you're swatting down. Punch would be more like, no, I guess that's accurate too. Yeah, really good shot. Really good shot. All right, I'll take it.
Times it's better to be lucky.
It's true. Good. Good. Way to hit the returner there. She's back. Like, look how much space she's given you to actually hit into. That's why we always hit the returner. Because, I mean, if you want to drop, look at this ocean you have to drop into versus, you've only got this much here. Right. So that's why you should always hit the returner, among many other reasons. While they're moving, their eyesight's all messed up. They're off balance. It's just a whole host of reasons to hit the return. So really good job there. Just play it out. Good idea.
So I should have been in further on that one.
Let's see.
I mean, because that's a
No.
good ball no?
Well, all right, so this is getting complicated. Had Black Hat made it to the line? No. If she makes it to the line, she's smacking that ball suit. Look how high that ball is. She's coming down hard on that ball, right? Because she's so far back, yes, you could have crashed. But now we're getting kind of complicated here, right? I don't think I would head that direction, but if you want my honest answer, the honest answer is anytime you see someone late to the line, whoever's hitting the ball, you always hit the returner no matter what. And then if you're off ball, you're hoping that they know that, and you can crash. You can absolutely crash if the person is late, and you should crash. So if you notice someone's late, go ahead and crash. But if she's going to be on time, you don't want to crash that ball because it was high and she's going to hit you, right? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. Let's actually go back on that. Not bad. So do you hit with two hands at all?
In drilling,
Okay.
but more so with dinking.
Yeah, so on resets, if you just want to try, that's a tough one-handed reset right there. You don't have a lot of control. I would two-hand reset that. The exact same paddle position and everything. I would just put a second hand on there to give myself a little bit more control. And in that way, let's see how your body's. Yeah, notice, so you hit your one-hand backhand. So your feet are relatively perpendicular there. Or not perpendicular. But then you get to the side a little bit because you're hitting under, right? I think that's going to give you better positioning too. Like your feet are going to be able to stay beside each other and you're just going to lift, right? So I when you're doing resets and stuff, I'd kind of mess around with that, I think.
For that particular one, from my observation, I think she expected that the ball travel a little bit further, but it actually dropped
Probably.
more. So she was reaching out. That's why she hit the tape. If it were she was slightly closer to the ball, she would have hit it perfectly.
Yeah, the problem is she can't move up. That ball's high. So we know the result now. The result is this person mishit. So it's really easy to look at it and be like, "Dang, Jessica, why weren't you at the kitchen line to finish that ball?"
Right.
But
she could have killed me.
she would have killed you. And if her partner had stepped over, like her partner should have stepped over there, she would have killed you too. So you always have to wait on the third or any ball to be hit to get an idea of if it's going to be a good ball or a bad ball. The only time where you wouldn't do that, like I said, is if the person stays in the back, they don't return and run. That's why you always have to return and run, by the way. But if they don't return and run, you can crash. Even the person hitting the ball can crash. You hit and go. But that's the only time that you should just go blindly until you get a higher level and you can trust your partner's drive. And even then, the pros look for cues. Like if their opponents are unwinding the stack. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mhm.
They're unwinding the stack, then they might go. And that's because the return wasn't deep. It was in a good spot where the person could get a good third on it. They were unwinding the stack and then they go. Right. So it's kind of, that's more advanced. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Now, Ellen, I will say here, you probably, since you were already up, I wouldn't have you up that far. When you hit your drive, you come in again, but we already talked about that. I would stay where you are, but you're up here now. I think I probably would have tried to jump in front of that ball if I could. It was a little far, but if they leave a ball up for you, we're not playing roles, right? Like, oh, that's Jessica. No, that's your ball if you can get it, right? You're on the forehand too, so that would have helped. But that was probably a difficult ball to get to. But that
Yeah,
just lets
that's
you know that's an option.
sure. Yeah, that's pretty far from me. I actually could try to be more aggressive, then I need to talk to Jess ahead of time because we never really have done. In general, pretty aggressive at the net, but not that aggressive. I need to talk to her beforehand so she's ready to cover my side.
So if you ever get in a position where she needs to like switch with you and cover, you probably don't want to plan for that. That probably means you went too far. But what I would do in practice is I would start trying it. Just seeing, like, you can mess up, it's totally fine. Like when you guys are playing rec games, just see what it's like. The tough part here, and why I wouldn't recommend like a poach on this for you to poach, is because the way her paddle is, she can go straight at you or down your line, right? It's actually really hard to go at Jess fast. So I would tell you not to try that because you have to anticipate her going to Jess a little bit and kind of lean that way probably in order to get there. And as you're leaning, she'll go quickly down your line or quickly at you, right? So it's not the right ball for it. But just in future scenarios, I just wanted to make you aware of it because it's worth trying in the right situation, just to kind of see if it works.
I got it. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Really great. That was pretty good. Now we want it a little lower, but for the level you're at, that's a very promising skill you have there with your top spin drop. It's really good.
Thank you.
Ball back, get it down, de-escalate it, get that ball in the kitchen, get the ball in the kitchen. That was closer, get in the kitchen, get in the kitchen. Good, get in the kitchen. Nice. Okay, great. You guys dug yourselves out and made them make a mistake. But let's go back through this. So here, you did your best to get the ball back. I love it. We are still aiming for the kitchen if at all possible, okay? Or at least to de-escalate. That's a 12 o'clock ball, so that's as high as it's going to get. We want to be careful there. This ball comes down. We want to soften this up, okay? So you're taking kind of a full swing here, Ellen, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yep. So we want to really soften up on this, get the ball a little. Your height is actually really good. We just need to take speed off of it so it actually lands in the kitchen and you guys can take the kitchen immediately, okay? But this is the scramble drill. We're not getting the ball right in our strike zone. They're pressuring us. They can hit the ball anywhere. We're just trying to get balls back. But you do have to know at some point when they hit a softer ball that you can start to get it closer and closer and closer to the kitchen, right? So let's actually look. Let's see this ball. That one's a little easier for you guys to handle. Definitely trying to aim for the kitchen here. That one's a lot easier for you to handle right here. It's going to be because she's hitting up on it. So that's really soft. This ball has to go to the kitchen. This ball is right in your strike zone. You're not off balanced. You're in a really manageable space right here. So we got to get that one in the kitchen, and you almost do. Really well done. That's a really low 6 o'clock ball. Okay. So this next ball is either going to be super soft, and you should be able to get into the kitchen unless she rolls it really well, which I don't think she's going to. Because it's a 6 o'clock ball and it's very below the net, this is either a pop-up or a very manageable ball. Very manageable ball. You can handle that, okay? And this is actually a really good reset because you're taking it right off the bounce. Da-dunk, right? You could even take it more off the bounce, but you have to practice those and get really soft. So let's land that in the kitchen, and then it got a little too high, right? So we went from this being a 6 o'clock ball you can manage. That was sort of below the net to a 6 o'clock ball you can really manage to, we're at more of like a 5 o'clock now, right? She's starting to escalate up, right? She gets one high. Yeah, so now she's
I
starting
pop
to
it up.
attack. That's okay. Well, that's the pop-up right there. That was the first pop-up. We got to land that ball in the kitchen.
Can you?
And then, yeah.
Yeah, just that first pop-up, actually, my intention was to drop it, but I pop it up. Again, it goes back to it happens once here and there for me. Can you help me critique? Is that because I'm holding my grip is too tight or something wrong there?
Yeah, it's a great question. If your grip can be part of it, and the answer, like on mechanics, is always there's a ton of stuff, right? But it's really about that one thing that you can get the most gains from immediately. Don't move your paddle so far forward when you hit. Okay, so when you're here at the kitchen line, you don't notice that you actually kind of move it from like here to like here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that
Too
much. You
much.
just need this. Right
Okay,
here.
too much movement.
But that's a feel. That's a feel thing. So one of the things you guys could drill is you start in the middle of the transition area, right? I'm actually going to back it up because this angle's better back here. You can start in the middle of the transition area, have balls hit at you, right? And then feel how much power you need to actually land the ball in the kitchen, right? Then move from here to here, feel the difference in the power, move from there to there, feel that difference, and then finally move from there to there and feel that difference. The orange is basically a dink at this point. But you can just feel the difference in power. And I mean, pros pop this ball up a lot. It's hard, but that's going to actually help you get better and better at it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so resets are less about moving your paddle forward and more about absorbing the blow. You want to absorb the blow. Now, while you're absorbing the blow, you are going to have to help the ball up a little bit. So if I'm absorbing the blow, notice I'm not catching it, right? I'm not taking my paddle in, right? If I take my paddle in, that ball's not going anywhere. So I am moving it forward a little bit, but how much depends on how far away I am from the net. So when I say absorb, you are absorbing, but you're kind of moving forward as you absorb. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really it. This is a really difficult ball. I know this ball is either going through the middle or going to Ellen because of her paddle positioning. Her paddle's here, right? So it can only go straight or to the right. Okay, so this ball, because her handle's here, right? And her paddle is here. This is how I should have drawn it the whole time. That ball is only going straight ahead, which the way she's positioned right here is through the middle. Actually, probably less through the middle. It's either going straight here or it's going to go through here, and then it can go anywhere in between that. Okay. So we're not worried about the line here. We're not worried about the line at all. She cannot manipulate her wrist based on the paddle positioning to go to this line. She can only go straight at you, Jessica, or through the middle. And if she hits too hard past Ellen's shoulder, the ball's out of bounds. This is a black. This is a really high level concept. So where does she end up going through the ball or through with the ball? Right through
At
the
me.
middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, right through the middle. So Ellen, you could probably take a step. You could probably take a step in there. She's probably not going to your left shoulder. If she does, good ball. Like it just is what it is.
But
And then
from your drawing, Josh, I was thinking, shouldn't just to step to the middle, just one step?
so she has, let's actually go right here. Yes, because she's likely to go to Jessica's chest here. So since you're on your backhand here, Jessica, you don't need to worry about covering your chest. So, Ellen, I'm going to draw on you if that's okay. The red areas a lot of time or every time for people is where a ball can go out of bounds. Okay, so for here, your red area, you do not need to. This is black again. This is a black concept, but you don't need to cover this. If she hits this ball fast, again, we're talking about zones you cover fast, not zones you can cover. You can go anywhere slow, but we just need to cover fast shots on these speed ups. She can't go here. Okay, that's out of bounds. Past your shoulders, out of bounds. Or you can set your feet to the point. Maybe you move your feet here. Then everything from here over is out of bounds, right? It's all about positioning. She can't go there. The ball's out of bounds. She can't go up here, right? At your shoulder and up, she cannot go. This is out of bounds, right? She also can't go here. That ball's in the net, right? So really, all she has access to is, this area here, right? This is also a red area for you, Ellen, because you have a partner. You do not need to cover this, okay? You need to cover
Just the middle.
this right here. Now, why do you not need to cover this blue? Because that's in the middle of your chest. That's the easiest ball in pickleball to hit. You're hoping they hit you in the chest. So you don't need to cover it. Your brain will automatically make you cover the middle of your chest. Okay. You need to cover these two green spots. Okay. And I'm not going to draw on you, Jess, but it's the same for you. The green spot you need to cover is right here on your right shoulder and then on your left shoulder through the middle. Okay. Then Ellen, here's your green zone to about right here, probably. So I would even have you take a step over to where your chest is in the middle of this zone. Okay. In fact, I might have you actually take a step over here to this green zone. So you're sitting on your backhand and then Jessica's sitting on her backhand. I need to think more about that. I've been trying to figure out how to explain this concept to people. Let's not even go that direction, actually. Let's just back up. Jessica, I want your right shoulder in front of this ball. That's the easiest way to put it. Okay.
Okay.
Because the way her paddle is, she can't go quickly past your right shoulder. Okay. So I would have your right shoulder right in that ball, or maybe on the inside of your right shoulder, right here, just in case she does get outside of it a little bit. That way you can cover everything over. You can cover from your right shoulder all the way to here. Then Ellen steps right here and covers everything from here over. And then you guys will both cover this little green area right there. Okay. So that's how you kind of get more efficient with your positioning. I can't remember the original question. I got really sidetracked on this.
Yeah,
Trying to explain that well.
I was more thinking if we totally do the mirroring because of her paddle position, if Jess just move closer to the middle line, I don't
There
think
it
we
is.
need to move too much. Then we're well covered. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So I think Jessica's covering. If she moves to the middle, you're giving this lady right here a little bit of access to her forehand. And we don't want Jess to use her forehand. We want her to sit backhand here. So I think as long as the ball's in her side of her right shoulder here, that's where she can sit backhand the entire time. If you move her over, now you're going to make her potentially flip, and we don't want Jessica to have to make a decision. We want her to be super fast on the backhand. That does require you to step over, though.
Yeah, and then I need to
And
step over a little.
yeah, you do need to step over a little. I'd have you right on the tee. And then you probably you'll have to guard forehand a little bit, but you can definitely sit backhand more there. And if they get you on your forehand, it's a really small space. They got you. Like, good shot. Yeah. Any questions on that?
We can move on, but I'm a little bit concerned because I feel more vulnerable on my line area because she's still on the left court from the screen.
Right.
It's a cross court dink or drip she can do easily to the line, my corner, kitchen corner there. It's going to be super hard for me to get that.
So the first thing is we've given her an attackable ball. So your options to pickleball is not a perfect game. You're not going to be able to cover everything. You just have to cover the highest percentage shot. Okay. So what we're kind of talking about here is how do I cover everything perfectly? You can't. We gave her like not a super high ball, but an attackable ball. So she has a lot of options here. So now we got to cover what she's mostly going to attack and what you're most vulnerable. You're not vulnerable to slow balls typically. Okay. Yes, she could hit a rolling dink on you. That rolling dink is very slow or relative to a volley, right? It's much slower. You're much more likely to pick that up. If we can't cover everything, we need to cover the things you're most vulnerable to. Right now, you're most vulnerable to a speed up and a volley. So that's what you're going to have to cover. And then if she hits that little rolling dink, she's going to have to hit that ball extremely well to not hit it into the net and not hit it out of bounds to go down your line. The margin of error for her to hit that shot is very low. The margin of error for her to hit a good volley, pretty high. Does that make sense?
Yes and no, because Jess probably know we have actually quite a few female players we play regularly. They have the tendency, they have really good rolls and it goes relatively fast, not super hard hit, but it's always to the corner. It's really hard for us to get to there.
Sure. So let me back up and explain what I was saying. So about you have to cover what you're most vulnerable to. If I could give you a way to cover your forehand, to cover your backhand, and to cover that dink, I would 100% give it to you. There's just no way to cover all of those things.
So just give up on the lower percentage of shots, unless I know that person always hit there, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it giving up. I would call it, I'm going to cover what I'm most vulnerable to, and then I'm going to be ready in case they hit the one I'm least vulnerable to, right? You don't just give it away. And I don't think that's what you meant, of course.
Right, that's not what I meant, but
yeah,
it's just hard for me to cover. I just know, but
yeah, it really is. But that's again in a scenario where we're able to cover everything. We're not. You have to cover what you're most vulnerable to. And I know that people hit that shot probably a decent amount. Women seem to be really good at it because they have really good two-handers. The guys don't practice the two-hander as much.
Especially the more senior ladies, because of they are not necessarily stronger on the mobility. They tend to hit those type of tricky shots a lot.
Yeah. Now we're also talking about the position based off of this ball right here. So this particular ball that's high, that's at this lady's waist, so she can attack. If you're telling me that they're hitting lower balls like this right here, I would tell you be ready for the volley, but you don't have to necessarily be too worried about that because they can't hit this ball fast. It's below the net. Then I'd be more concerned about right? It also really depends on ball positioning. If you're up here, right, we're not worried about the dink at all. They're gonna volley, right? So it really depends on ball positioning.
Sure.
So yeah, I would say the ones that those ladies are hitting instead of volleying, they decide to roll it. They're a lot lower than this ball is, And in that case, yeah, you do need to guard that for sure. Because if they try and speed up on you, they're going to leave it high and you can recover and you can kill that.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
sure.
Okay, great. All right, we might do one more and then we'll kind of wrap up and I'm going to give you an attack plan for what you guys should be drilling and all that stuff. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Not bad. Okay, so let's go back. So she's late. I like the drive. I like your crash because she's late. She just happens to hit a ball down the line. So let's look at this real quick. So this is just going to be a product of this lady feels really good about her two-hander. So this is probably the wrong spot to hit on her at. You probably actually want to hit her chicken wing or maybe closer to her forehand. If you watch her play, she really likes that two-hander. So tough spot. The ball's actually really high as well, right? So that ball's about 2 to 3 feet over the net. So just got to hit a better ball. That's really it. And that's why you get burned. Now, if that ball's 2 feet lower, you're in the perfect spot for that ball because she's late and you would crash on that. Any questions on that? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's stop there. I'll make a plan for you. Do you have any other questions? Do you have anything you struggle with that you wanted to talk to me about?
Yeah, we probably don't have time today. There was another example. I said the bad example in the folder. We could also do it next time. So that particular one is where we struggle the most as a team. The bangers, when they hit so
Oh, yeah.
hard, we were late. Yeah, we just lose. So it'd be good to get your analysis on where.
Yeah,
I
I'd
know.
love.
Yeah, I know some part what I could have done better, but would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so are you mostly struggling with them when you're on return side or when you're on serve side or both? I'm going to guess it's when you're on return side because they're typically banging from the baseline on their transition shots.
Yeah, probably. But a lot of this level players, they just bend. It doesn't matter where they come from, especially when they grab opportunity. We didn't have a perfect return. They started banging. It's a little bit hard. We have a little bit hard time to reset. Then they become higher, and eventually
Yeah.
put it away.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 sets of advice. I'm going to give you, well, actually, my first question, we'll watch the film and we'll get better advice for you, or we'll get better coaching for you next time. But let me ask you a question first. How high do you want to go? Like, are you just wanting to continue to get better and better and better and just see how far you can go, or, what's your goal here?
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Okay.
we'd like to improve continuously. So for now, targeting to get from 4.0 to 4.5, then
Yeah.
continue.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you how to get there on like how to deal with bangers at the highest level. Okay. And I honestly, I wouldn't start like with blocks, or I think blocks are a waste of time. Resetting the ball is a waste of time because eventually you're never going to do that again. So you're going to be really bad at this in the beginning, potentially, but let's just skip to what you should be doing. Right. So what you should be doing is countering as hard as you can on that ball. So, there's a lot of advice on YouTube on how to handle bangers and stuff. The truth is you have to bang back. And so the more you get used to banging back, the easier it is to handle them, because the only way to beat them is match power with power. So what should really happen is when they drive from the baseline, if they leave that ball high, you should punish them and hit that ball as hard as you can back to the baseline. So that's what I would be working on, is just how to counter on those balls and how to get really good at it. Because that at a high level, no one's blocking and no one's resetting.
I love your advice because that's my mentality, but I kept on getting advice. You need to reset. But I'm like, the reset doesn't work. They hit it so hard. It's extremely difficult to reset.
Yeah. So like, I understand the advice. The advice is at a lower level. If you just, block or reset, now they have to hit a drop. Now they don't get to bang anymore, but they have to hit a drop. And if they're bangers, they might not be good at drops and you might be able to, just take care of it. Or be able to finish the point. But as you get higher and higher, number one, they'll be able to drop just fine. There's no problem there. They're going to be able to, at a higher level, they're going to be able to drop those balls. Also, at a higher level, they know that their drive isn't to win a point, it's to set up a drop. So they're going to drive, and when you block, they're going to go, thank you, that's what I wanted. And they're going to pick that ball up, put it in the kitchen, and now they're at the kitchen, right? And so it's gonna be, you're gonna do this, you're gonna drop as you're trying to get better at this, but then eventually you're gonna rise way up. Okay, it's just gonna take time. But yeah, you've got to counter those balls really hard, or as hard as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and if someone wanted to stay at like a 3-5, 4-0, 4-5 level, I would say, I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to get really good at blocking and cutting, like you can, but if you want to go as high as you can, you're just going to have to get used to it. Because at the pro level, it just doesn't work. And it's because they just get punished. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so here's my plan for you guys. How often do you guys drill?
Not often as we would like to, but
Okay. So I would say you need to have at least one drill session a week if you can. Okay. It's really hard to work on things in game. The second thing I would say is that you really need to try to work on the things in game. We talk about this in the lab too. A lot of people just drill and practice until they get it, until they're really confident in it. Then they try it in games. You need to be the opposite. You need to be like, I have no confidence in this shot, and start trying it in games. Because my theory is every one game rep, so let's say you're uncomfortable with banging back, right? You bang back once, that is worth 30 practice reps trying to bang the ball back. It's just something about game and game pressure where you start to absorb more, okay? Whatever you do or whatever you want to work on them in games. Especially, it's going to be a lot less pressure too, because a lot of times people won't work on stuff in games because they don't want to let their partner down, or they want to admit they want to prove to themselves that they're getting better at pickleball and stuff. It's easier with a partner, because you both go in going, all right, we're here to get better. So who cares if you make a mistake? So that's the underlying foundation. Just, you guys probably need to drill at least once a week, and you need to try everything that you're drilling in games immediately to get as good at them as you can. Let's go down the list of serve, return, then transition, then dinking, then volleying. Honestly, for you guys, I would not have you dinking and volleying. You're just not doing enough of it. Even at like a 5-0 level, if you count up all the shots in a rally, how often you dink and volley is way less than you would expect. It's all transition stuff. So I'm going to give you a recommendation on the spot, and then as I think about it, I might have a better recommendation for you, and I will direct message you guys on the lab about that. Are you guys signed up on the lab?
I did.
Okay, great. I think I remember that actually. So if I get a better one for you as I'm thinking about it, I'll message you guys on the lab. Let's go through it. So serve, return. For you guys, I would practice serve and return a lot. I would practice the first 4 balls a lot. Okay. What I would practice on serve side, I'm going to take for granted that you guys know you need to hit the ball hard and you need to hit it deep. Okay. So if you're not doing those things, you need to do those things first. But what I want you to start doing is targeting the backhand. Okay. So on your serve, you should be targeting your opponent's backhand. So there should be one of you guys doing that at your level. So one of you serving, one of you's returning. You're going to target their backhand. Now, for the purpose of the drill, what you're actually going to do, let's say you're serving from here. Their backhand is here, right? I don't want you to, because we're going to have Jessica on the other side of this. She's over here, right? I don't want you to be focused so much on her backhand. I just want you to be focused on where the backhand would be for her. So I want you to be hitting this side of the court, okay, her backhand side. I want Jessica over here, actually, and I want her to, this is not her normal position she's going to have in pickleball, but we're adjusting for the drill, right? She's going to be here normally, but I want her practicing her forehand returns. And I want her to return and put a marker about right here. And I want her to aim her returns for back here. And I want you guys to practice returning and running. So I want this person here to serve to this side of the backhand. I want this person to step over so that they can practice their forehand returns, forehand return deep.
Yep.
I don't want you focusing on returning to the backhand or anything. I just want them deep. Then the next step is we'll work on hitting them harder, right? But right now I just want them deep. Okay. The reason the first 4 ball principle is so important is those are the most balls that are hit in a rally. Okay. You don't get to the 5th ball as much as you get to the 4th, and you don't get to the 4th as much as you get to the 3rd. And a lot of rallies end in the first 4 balls, and the rallies that don't end in the first 4 balls, they ended at the 8th or 9th or 10th ball because of a ball you hit in the first 4, right? Like you pop a ball up and they hit down, you hit it, like it got lost in the first 4. So I want you guys to get really good at the first 4. Okay. So that's the first thing I want you guys to do.
So clarify on this one. So this particular drill is only serve and returns.
Only serve and return.
You don't want us to add the 3rd and 4th to this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. No, serve and return. And I want you to serve for 10 minutes, and then I want her to return for 10 minutes. And sorry, you're going to serve, she's going to return for 10, then she's going to serve, you're going to return for 10. Okay?
10 minutes each.
All right. Let's do, let's actually for right now, let's do that 10, you 10, her 10, you 10, her 10. So a total of 40 minutes. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. So that's going to be the first thing. Serve and return. We're going to get really good. I want you to, and I said, I'm assuming that you're hitting deep and you're hitting hard. I want you to really push it on these serves. I want you to have a really, really freaking good serve, because when you have a good serve, you actually set up really poor returns from the other team, and now you're starting much closer to the net, and those drops are so much easier, so much easier. They end up popping the ball up higher on returns, so now your ball bounces higher and your third shot drive is a lot easier. Okay? The returns are important because you need to play really good defense. The deeper you get that return, the more balls it takes them to get up, the further they are from the net, so their balls are more likely to go in the net or go high. So I need you guys to get really good at those first 2 balls. Okay? Then I want you guys working on your thirds. Okay? So there's a third shot drop drill that we have on our YouTube channel. Do that drill. We're going to do 15 minutes. You serve, she returns. You can break that up into 5-5 or 5-5-5, however you want to do that, but it needs to be 15 total minutes of you serving, her returning, 15 minutes of you returning, her serving. Then we're going to do 30 minutes of drops, okay, or 30 minutes of thirds, okay? So actually, we're going to do 40 minutes. So I want you hitting drops for 10 minutes, and then I want you hitting drives for 10 minutes, okay? And then Jessica's the one feeding you. You'll see the drill on YouTube. Then I want Jessica hitting drops for 10 minutes and then hitting drives for 10 minutes. You are going to hit thirds all the time. Thirds start the point off well or poorly, okay? You hit a high third, you're in trouble. You hit a good third, you're making it to the kitchen. Okay. And the team, statistically speaking, the team that gets to the kitchen the most will win the match 90% of the time. Okay. So you can almost look at it as, if I get to the kitchen, that's a win for us. That's a huge win. Okay. If we win the dinking and volleying battle, that's good too. Pickleball is a battle of who can transition the best. So I want you guys hitting thirds that whole time. Okay. Then I want you guys to play skinny singles. Do you know how to play skinny singles?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen the variation where people play straight ahead? Right? And then Jessica, you're playing here and you're cross-court dinking. Okay. At some point later on, if you guys need to get better at cross-court dinking and cross-court transition, that's totally fine. For now, I don't want you to do that. I want you guys playing straight on. Okay. So, and since you guys stacked, this will work really well for you. So I want you playing here and I want you playing here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to serve from here. Okay, let's just try that again. You're going to serve from here like you're stacked. Okay, you serve here, and then you just step over. They return this way, and now you're playing straight ahead. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this encourages you guys to dink or to volley straight ahead. Volleys are going to be really important for you guys. So I want you to take your serve and return practice that you've worked on, and then I want you to take your third shots that you've worked on, and then for 50 minutes I want you to be just incorporating those over and over and over. You are not trying, I want you to keep score because there's levels of pressure that are really important. So a score keeps a level of pressure on it, but your focus has to be not winning, it has to be getting better. So that means if you're not comfortable with your drop, you need to be dropping a ton here. If you're not comfortable with your drive, you need to be driving a ton here. Okay. And you need to be hitting that backhand on the serve, and you need to be trying to return deep. I will say you're going to hit a ton of returns out. It's just going to happen because as you're trying to get them deep, you're going to overhit them. Okay. But there's no way for you to get better at them than if you try it. And so the good news is you're both trying to serve to the backhand. So you're both going to mess up. You both are trying to return deep. You're both going to mess up. So really try to prioritize improvement over performance. Sound good?
Sounds good.
The other thing that I would encourage, but I would only encourage it in a controlled setting. Basically, you guys are a part of the paid version of the lab where I can check in on you guys a ton. I think you guys both, if you want to get really high, you got to get really good at top spin drives. Okay. Really just need to get better at top spin in general. But when we think top spin, a lot of times we think drives. Your first 4 balls, I said you need to get really good at them. They're all basically top spin drives. Okay. Your serve, top spin drive. Your return, top spin drive. Your third can be a drive, should be a top spin drive. If it's going to be a drop, you can hit a top spin drop. Getting better at a top spin drive will help your top spin drop. Your fourth should be a hard volley typically. If they leave the ball high, you're going to hard volley. It's going to be a top spin drive basically without the ball bouncing. If the ball bounces in the kitchen and it's just high enough, you are going to drive that ball. You're just not going to drive it baseline to baseline. You're going to drive it kitchen to baseline. So the more you can get better at that shot, the more accurate your balls are going to be. So we have the beginnings of a course in the lab for top spin. It's not robust enough yet. But once it gets robust enough, then I would say you guys really need to start doing that and getting really freaking good at top spin drives. Do you have any questions on that?
Do you recommend more of the Eastern grip, or what grip are you suggesting we should be in?
Pros are at Eastern at the baseline, and then as soon as they start to transition, actually I don't. I know where they're at on the baseline and at the kitchen. At the baseline, they're in Eastern, and at the kitchen, they're in Continental. In the transition zone, I actually don't know the answer to that. It's really hard to see. And as we on film, and then as we get like more and more popular, I'm actually going to have the pros on to do like they're going to come to the lab. They'll do like a 30-minute thing on YouTube, but then we'll do like a 2-hour thing in the lab for like paid customers or for paid players. But until then, I don't know what they do. I can only tell you what I know other players do at my level. They're the one player I know of that's pretty good. He's in Continental, and I'm in Continental as well. I think you should be in Continental in transition because you're gonna volley there a decent amount, and if you're gonna volley, you need to volley in Continental to get used to volleying Continental at the kitchen. Does that make sense? So my recommendation would be baseline Eastern, and then transition zone Continental, and then kitchen Continental. However, I would say I wouldn't worry. I would let that be in the background of my mind, and I wouldn't focus on that as much, to be completely honest. Switching grips like that, that's probably like a 5.0 plus, maybe even closer to a 5.5 thing. I would just get really good at one grip right now. I'd probably try to get really good at Continental.
Okay.
Unless you just feel really comfortable. If you feel really comfortable and it's not causing an issue for you, and you're able to go to practice and you're able to focus on the things you need to focus on, you can really only focus on one thing at a time. But if you're able to focus on everything you need to focus on that I gave you in drilling, like when you're hitting returns, you're locked in every single time on your return to hit deep. I don't know if you're going to be thinking, like when you're playing skinny singles to hit deep, I don't know that you're going to be thinking, I need to hit deep and then I need to switch to Continental as I'm running up. If you can do both of those, great. But you really need to be focused on your practice. And so I would only do that if everything's going really well and I feel like I can handle it and not give it a ton of thought. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
I have a couple clarification questions. One is when you said one drill session per week, are you referring to the two of us doing it together once a week at least, or just drill in general?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just lost my light, but that's all right. Yeah, I would say I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you guys can do it together, that's great. If you have to do it with another partner, as long as you get the 2 hours in, I would just get 2 hours in.
Okay, so it's a 2-hour session.
Yeah, and so if you have another partner that's, about your skill level that you're working with, they should be that's the problem. Is like for you guys, if you drill together, you know what you have to do. If you go drill with another person and they want to work on some stuff too, well, now it's no longer a 2 hour drill session for you, right? It's like a 3 hour drill session because you need to get your 2 hours in and their 1 hour, or 4 hours, their 2 hours. Like that's what you probably would more than likely do, is do an hour of your thing and an hour of their thing. Well, now you have to do another session of drilling to get in your last hour, right? So I think it's more efficient for you guys to work together, or if you have a partner that's willing to just do your drill schedule, which they probably should be willing to do that if they're at your level, because I'm coaching you guys and they get it for free too, So
Yeah.
that's probably what they should be doing.
Okay. And also, when you said working on things in games, are you referring to tournaments or rack games too?
Great question. No, you're not going to a tournament to work on things. You're going to a tournament in a flow state of, I'm going to do what I know I can do well, right? So, and even like duper leagues, if you're doing duper leagues, that's another one. Like, yeah, maybe you just try to perform, right? But if your goal is to get better in everything except tournaments and maybe duper leagues, maybe, I would even probably try and practice in duper leagues. Everything but tournaments, you're practicing. You're not worried about winning. You're practicing. Now that's a tough skill. So what I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. I played Eastern up until last week. Or no, semi-Western, actually. I used to play Eastern, and then I switched. I got over to semi-Western trying to get a ton of topspin. And I was just really hoping I would never have to really go to Continental. I could make it work. I heard a pro actually played Eastern, so I was like, I can make this work. I can make it work. And then I just realized it's not going to work. Like I was just popping volleys like all the time, and I was like, I'm gonna because changing your grips can be tough. I was like, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet, right? And so I was like, you know what? I won't do it before the PPA at Mesa. That'd be kind of wild to do that right before a tournament. So I went into the tournament doing what I was good at. But as soon as I got done with the tournament, I was like, on Monday, I was like switching. I scheduled a drill session for 2 hours to get really as comfortable as I could. And then the very next day, I had the best player, or one of the best players in Indianapolis, was like, hey, do you want to play? And I'm like, holy crap. I just switched to Continental. Can I go play this game and have the guts to play with this guy, knowing that I may or may not get an invite back, depending on my performance, right? Do I have the guts to go practice and not try to win? And I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I was actually really proud of myself. I was able to practice. I stayed Continental. I didn't bail out of it. And I played and I did extremely well, luckily. But that's not the point. The point is I had the guts to prioritize practice over that. So that's a scenario. That's what I'm talking about in terms of prioritizing practice. But tournaments are an exception. You're going to a tournament with your skills intact and you're not trying new things in a tournament. But any other time you're playing, you're always trying new things and practicing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. A couple more, hopefully, quick questions.
That's fine.
One is I'm thinking of getting a ball machine. Do you think it's worth it, or?
If you can afford it, yeah, for sure. It's always a budget thing, but yeah, if you can afford it, I used to use the ball machine all the time, and I still use it all the time to try new things, because it's a progression of pressure, right? Like, what I used to do, there was a tennis coach I took lessons with, like really famous around here, coached a U.S. Open winner, like really, really high level coach, and he was like, it takes 2,000 balls to change an aspect of your swing. Okay. So if I'm finishing on my topspin, if I'm finishing more here versus my paddle facing the wall like this, in order to get that fixed, I've got to go do that 2,000 times. Well, you're only going to be able to do that off a ball machine, right? So I used to just pound the ball machine until I got my technique right. Now, my technique's still not perfect, but in an effort to go pro, I have like 20 training hours a week that my body can handle. And so I have to be really picky and choosy about how I use that time. Okay. So I don't use the ball machine as much as I used to because I prioritize playing more now because I feel like I have the technical aspect down. But until you're about a 5'5", I would be probably like a 5'2", 5'3". I will probably be pounding that ball machine as much as I possibly can to get really good at drops and drives, returns, fourths, flicks, volleys, all sorts of things. Because remember, when you get a ball, you have two things. You have a decision and then execution. That execution is all based on mechanics. So you need a ton of reps on that ball machine to get your mechanics down. And then once you feel like you have mechanics down pretty well, which means in games, you're hitting drives very consistently 6 inches over the net, you're hitting drops consistently in the kitchen and getting a bounce, then maybe you only try the ball machine, not for reps, for practice reps, but for trying new things and figuring out how to do something versus trying to hammer it in your head, right? Does that make sense? So if you could buy a ball machine, I would get one for sure.
Okay, got it. And another question. Jess and I, our target is to get to from 4.0 to 4.5 by the end of the year. How many sessions per week would you recommend? Earlier you mentioned once per week, but is that enough for us to get to that level, or we absolutely
Yeah,
more sessions?
I just did a video about this in the lab. So, and this is about efficiency, right? Yeah, so it's about how do you split up your schedule, right? So it depends on your goals and your allotted time. What duper are you guys currently?
So it's fluctuating a little bit. After the tournaments, we're just analyzing our scores. Our dupers are around 4, but we played another tournament at the local hub Monday night. We didn't do well, so it probably will drop a little.
Got it. Okay. So the first thing I would say is I wouldn't worry about getting to a 4-5 duper by the end of the year. I would worry about getting to a self-assessed 4-5 level where you're playing against other 4-5 players and you feel like you're holding your own because duper can lag really hard depending on how many tournaments you play. Okay, so I wouldn't get caught up in duper as much. If it ends up reflecting it, great, that's fantastic. I would just try to not be caught in the trap of um I'm not getting better because my duper doesn't say I'm getting better, right? Trust that if you're putting in the practice, you're getting better. Okay. So I wouldn't worry about that. In order to jump half a level in a year, you're gonna have to practice quite a bit. How many hours a week? And while I listen to you, I'm gonna go turn my light back on. How many hours a week do you have to dedicate to pickleball? Just period.
I'm trying to work on a 4 workday schedule, so I'm hoping I can put in maybe 3 practices on average for each session to be 2 hours. Can be either drill or games or combination of both.
Yeah, so I guess so drilling games, like if you go to the gym for pickleball to like lift weights, like total, how many hours a week can you put in?
Oh, gym. Okay. Does swimming count? Does mountain biking count?
If you're doing it for pickleball purposes, yes. If you're doing it for other purposes, I wouldn't count.
No, I'm just doing them for other purposes. 6 hours for me. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to specific pickleball drilling, that that can vary by week. Sometimes, 4
Just
hours,
say
sometimes 6
average.
hours. And then in terms of workouts for pickleball, I do lifting and I also do hit sprint type workouts to help.
Sure. Okay. So let me clarify. So I have about 20 training hours a week. I use about 8 hours to play. I use about 4 hours to lift, and then I use about 8 hours to drill. Um So taking all your hours together, Ellen, just to confirm, you feel like between drilling and playing, just anything you're watching film, anything pickleball related, it's about 6 hours, correct?
I spend more hours watching films.
Okay. Okay. So if you're doing and Jessica, how many did you say?
Yeah, I think it varies. Probably more defined by what you were saying. I was talking just straight being able to drill.
Okay, so how many hours then would you say? Sorry, I missed that part.
4 to 6, I was saying, for drilling.
But what
But
about when you add in playing, how much is that?
yeah, it's probably more than that because sometimes we'll go and we'll play for a good 3 hours. Um,
Okay. So,
yeah, I
I
think
guess
I'd
the
have
reason
to
I'm
track it to
asking
be realistic.
Yeah, I think the reason I'm asking is just to kind of get an idea of how you do hour allotment. Let's do percentages. That way you can figure out how whatever hour allotment you have to play and drill, and you can break it down. If you're trying to go from 4.0 to 4.5 in a year and jump half a level, you're probably going to have to do half drill, half play. So if you have 6 hours, you need to drill for 3 and play for 3. If you have 10, you need to drill for 5 and play for 5. Because at this stage, mechanics, I had a guy tell me there's not that much difference between a 5.5 player and a 6.0 player. It's a lot of strategy. So does that player need to go practice their mechanics a lot more and stuff? No, they need to watch more film and understand the decisions they're making and go make better decisions, right? For you guys, mechanics are super, super important right now. Hitting consistent drops, hitting consistent drives, hitting consistent topspin, that type of thing. So you really need concentrated practice. So I would tell you 50% drill, 50% play. But when you go play, you can't go play and just be like, I got to win today. You got to go play and be like, I got to take everything from drilling to playing. Now, when you go play to start out with this mentality, this new mentality of I'm not coming to win, I'm coming to get better, you need to focus on one thing at a time. I have you doing serve, return, and your third shot decision or third shot. So drop and drive. I don't need you going there and going, all right, I got to serve to the backhand. When the ball comes, I've got to drop just right. You're going to like get overwhelmed and confused. And I just did another video about this. You need to choose one thing. Okay. So maybe for a month or maybe for 2 weeks or something, I'm going there, I'm serving on the back, serving to the backhand. And after that, I'm just playing. Okay. So then you drill that in, you get that in. Now the next thing you're ready for after you're pretty consistent with that in game, now I'm going to go to return. But I'm not going to work on serve that day when I'm playing. I'm just going to work on return. Don't overwhelm yourself. Okay. And then eventually when you get done with that, then you work on your third shot drop, then your third shot drive. Okay, so be focused on one thing when you play to get better on. Eventually, you'll be able to do more than one. But for right now, if you don't focus on one, you'll half focus on one, half focus on another, and then not focus at all half the time. Okay, so be laser focused. But yes, in order to jump that half level, you are going to have to drill quite a bit, to be honest.
Yep.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Great.
And maybe one more question. I was just talking to Jess how often we should play tournaments together. Just the past two, it was a little bit too close. I personally felt we're just building frustration, at least from my side. I felt we knew what we need to work on. For example, the mechanics, it just takes reps. Both have been busy, or it looks like, anyways, yeah, I just need to find more time to do more frequent drilling to get that consistency and also the counter, right? That particular one we need to focus to work on. It takes time to build that. Do you feel, what's your recommendation on how often we should do tournaments, or too often is that going to hurt us?
Yeah, I would say typically every 2 months would be fine.
That's
I
what I said
think
to Jess. Yay!
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I would say every month, you probably haven't changed enough. Every 3 months, you've probably changed too much. But you could convince me every week is fine too, but it takes a special player to go do it every week. One, you gotta have the budget for it. Let's be honest about that. Number two, you gotta really not care about your duper and really just care that you're getting better, which I'm not even sure, like, I'm getting better at the mental side of pickleball. I'm not even sure I could do that at this point. You gotta care about or not care about that. And then you've got to be able to go to the tournament and not care if you win, because you need to go there like trying to get better at that point. Um, the only reason I say that would be a benefit is there's a tournament experience thing. Like it's a real thing. If you're doing a tournament every single week and your budget can handle it and you mentally can handle it, you're doing 52 tournaments. I mean, this is insane. I'm just giving you like really far side of the spectrum, right? That's 52 tournaments in a year. You're going to be mentally solid versus all your other counterparts because you've been in tournaments so much. So, for example, I went to the PPA, and it's natural for things that you've just started working on for you to get a little nervous about them. So my returns, I did not return the same way that I returned in rec play. And I was a little sad about that because I just didn't trust it enough. And I didn't have the balls. I've had the balls in other scenarios I told you about, but I have the balls at the PPA to stay with it. And so I went back to my old return that was more reliable, but was like 10 to 20% weaker. You know, if I had played 52 tournaments last year, I bet I wouldn't have done that. I bet I would have returned, and I would have returned really well, and we might have had a different outcome. So it takes a really special player to do that. I would say for 95% of people to 99% of people, just play one every 2 months.
Yeah, I think for me also, I need to put some reps into to make sure I have the right forms, because I do think I have a deform when I played in the tournaments sometimes, especially when I'm getting tired or by doing too often, I might just like reinforce the bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Sounds good, Josh. Yeah, as Jeff said, yeah, I really appreciate your help here. It's super insightful. Cool. All
Awesome.
right. Thanks, Josh.
All
Thank
right,
you so
guys. Well, yeah,
much.
just get back to me on email. Absolutely. Good luck. And hopefully I'll hear from you in the next week or so, and we'll be able to jump back on. I'll be able to check in with you about your drilling and kind of see how you're progressing.
Yeah, we'll
Sounds
get back to
good.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good. All right, guys. See
Bye.
y'all.
Bye, Josh.